Okay, so far we have learned how to balance chemical equation and how to calculate number of moles from that balanced equation. But life isn't always going to be carbon and oxygen in simple formula like this. Oh, sometimes you get really complicated equation. For example, you can have potassium permanganate reacting with hydrogen peroxide, forming potassium hydroxide plus NaO2 plus oxygen gas. Wow, that looks complicated. How am I going to balance this equation so that I can use it for my chemical calculation? There are steps that you can follow to do this actually. So step number 1, balance atom that is not oxygen or hydrogen. Okay, so let's look at this. We have potassium, one potassium. Okay, good. I also have one manganese and one manganese over here. Oh, good. Wow, step 1 is already done. Let's look at step 2. Step 2, you will balance oxygen atom, so the O, and the trick is to use 1/2 if needed. Oh, what does that mean? Okay, tell you in a second. So you have 4 oxygen over here, 2 oxygen over here. So in total, before the reaction, you are having 2 plus 4 is 6 oxygen. After, you have 1 plus 2 plus 2, that's in total 5 oxygen. Well, that's not balanced, isn't it? Now to make it balanced, what I can do is say, okay, I can just say multiply this number by 2. That means I will put a 2 over here. 2 plus 2 plus 2, that makes 6. Well, that means I do this step. But look, immediately, what I can see is that if I put a 2 here, that means I have a 2 of this whole thing. 2 of this whole thing. Doesn't mean I had make 2 of the potassium as well. So then I just screw up step 1 by doing that. Well, I can say, okay, fine, I screw up the step. I multiply this by 2, but I can just put the 2 over here. Then I have 2 potassium. Well, if I do that, this 2 means that I'm changing this whole thing. That means I'm also changing the oxygen. So this will multiply by 2 as well. So that would change this into 8. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 2 is 10. And then I can change this over here, and then it will mess up over here, and then you change it over here, and then I mess up a reactant again. So I'm just going on a vicious circle. That's not going to work. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's not change that number. Just leave it alone. Doesn't work. Scrap. Okay. So I'm not changing that number. This is still 6. This is still 5. This is still 5. Okay. Now, if I am not changing this number, can I change this number? Can I multiply this by something to make it even? Well, if I multiply anything on this one, I'm going to screw up the MN. So let's not do that either. Oh, that's really suck for me, isn't it? gotta think kind of creative here. So there's 5 over here. A number of ways that you can do this actually. What if I multiply this number by 1/2? What if I multiply this by 1/2? That means 2 multiplied by 1/2 is 1. And 4 plus 1 is 5. Then I will have balance on both sides. Oh, okay. 1/2. Alright, so we're done with step number 2. And in the process of doing step number 2, we didn't screw up step number 1. That's good. That's a key point. Okay, step number 3. Balance hydrogen atom, the H atom, and then multiply the whole equation if needed. Okay, now what does that mean? 1/2 of 2, well, 1/2 of 2 is just 1, right? 1/2 multiplied by 2 hydrogen, that just means 1 hydrogen. We're talking hydrogen here. And over here we have 1 hydrogen. Oh wow, we finished. We checked 3. Okay, well, this is, although usable, it's kind of ugly. I mean, there's a 1/2 here. I really don't like it. So what I can do is multiply this entire equation by 2. Well, what does it mean by multiplying an entire equation by 2? Why can't I just multiply this by 2? Well, if you multiply this part by 2, then you end up with what you started out. So that wouldn't work. You have to multiply the entire thing so that everything will still stay in balance. So if you multiply by 2, what does that mean? That means you have 2 KMnO4 plus 2 multiplied by 1/2 is just 1, so you have 1 H2O2. 2 multiplied by KOH, you have 2 KOH. 2 multiplied by MnO4, so 2 MnO2. That's 2 multiplied by this. Okay, so when I multiply like that, am I going to still have balance equation? Oh, you betcha. I still have 2K, 2K, 2Mn, 2Mn, 8 oxygen, 2 multiplied by 4, plus 2 oxygen over here. So 8 plus 2 is equal to 10 oxygen. Is it 10 oxygen over here? 2 oxygen over here. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4 is 10. Okay, so it works. So this is your final equation right here. Pretty complicated, huh?